Hello and welcome, everyone. I'm Marissa Kozlov. It's great to have you with us for today's eMarketer Tech Talk, where we host guests from all areas of media, ad tech, and MarTech. Together, we'll learn about consumer buying behaviors, as well as performance and affiliate marketing trends to maximize holiday sales. So now let's meet my guest from Rakuten Advertising. We have David Gill, Vice President of Consumer Insights, who's joining us today from Austin, Texas. David, so nice to see you.
Nice to see you again. Thanks, Marissa.
And we also have Megan Gaffey, Senior Director of Publisher Partnerships, who is joining us in New York today. Hi, Megan.
Hi, Marissa. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. So we'd also love to hear where all of you are joining us from in our audience today. So just use the chat window on the right to share that and also to submit your questions. We will do our best to get to as many questions as we can during the live Q&A in the second part of the show. So Dave, I'm ready to get to that great content that you have planned for us. Let's get started.
Sounds good. Thank you, Marissa, and thanks a lot to everyone who took time out of their day to listen today. Hopefully this content that we put together will have some small or large influence on how you're thinking about Q4 and holiday. We're in mid-September, so it's just about to get crazy. I'm going to kick things off today with some market trends and a few metrics that we typically pay attention to around consumer demand. I'm then going to turn it over to Meg, who's going to speak to the supply side opportunities with publishers, some key periods on our network, and some Q4 case studies. And then I'll jump back in to summarize and look at 2025 before we take questions. So without further ado, let me just go ahead and jump into the content. I wanted to start today with some of this baseline data from our pals at eMarketer. Most of you will be familiar with this particular chart that tracks holiday e-commerce sales over the last few years. Expectations for 2024 are that e-commerce will drive about $1 and $5 spent during the holiday. Dollar sales are expected to show 9.5%, 10% growth over last year. But here's the deal. I want you to avoid comparing yourself to expectations around this number. This year has a particularly baffling set of externalities in play, many of which I'll cover in the next 10 minutes. But when I talk to Rakuten clients about holiday strategy, I tend to stress the importance of the reach opportunity during the holidays. There's really just no bigger online shopper base than what happens during the fourth quarter. So brands need to be out there early and often in front of every new customer you can find. And performance marketing is really a great way to do that cost effectively. So one topic that I think is really fascinating is how consumers are behaving online and offline. And I think this chart does a particularly nice job of illustrating how this post-COVID shopper sort of moved quickly back into physical retail. And then this subsequent correction back towards higher online growth. And it seems like, to me, shoppers have figured out, when it makes sense to visit retail in person versus what types of things can be bought more efficiently online, inclusive of, hybrid models like buy online, pick up in store. So I think this particular slide illustrates that these two channels really are complementary at scale, importantly, and online media can drive offline and vice versa. So for a successful Q4 as a marketer, that means having a very deep understanding of your customer. Why do they buy your product and where do they buy your product? And then how can you actually encourage that behavior? Next, every year we try to identify some unique characteristics that are happening in the marketplace that might significantly affect consumer behavior and therefore sales. Some of these are exogenous events that are out of our control, but some of them are definitely addressable with specific tactics. So starting with the headwinds, the biggest externality around Q4 is obviously the presidential election. So at the very least, you have consumers distracted with 24-hour news cycle. More troubling, though, is if there's a contested election and some civil unrest or some type of constitutional crisis. Either way, it's a distraction, but a crisis in November is far more devastating to retail sales. So let's not do that. I'm sure everybody on this call also knows we have a short buying period between the holidays this year, between Thanksgiving and Christmas, only 24 days. And then lastly, the lingering effects of household budget tightening, which is really changing the category mix, but also giving birth to trends like re-commerce, people trading down, private label. From a tailwinds perspective, the economy, by most measures, is doing well, and interest rate easement should come, I think, next week. That's likely to stimulate the markets. And secondly, I would say Gen AI is really proving more and more useful every day. So many shoppers are in this sort of hype bubble around it. And honestly, that probably works in all of our favor because of the excitement. And then lastly, sort of a counterpoint to tighter household budgets is we've seen pretty consistent and aggressive growth in buy now, pay later solutions that really streamline the checkout process. And they also reduce sort of that out-of-pocket burden that may stop many holiday shoppers from converting. So that's what's going on with consumers. I wanted to show what we're seeing so far this year. This is year-over-year change by week, all e-commerce dollar sales. It's important to mention this is not Rakuten network data. This is based on analysis of data that we license from third parties like Nielsen on behalf of our clients. And so what you can see here is fairly consistent growth of single-digit % since probably February here. So over the last 33 weeks, there's only been 6 that have lagged performance from 2023. You can see this sort of unusual dip in the middle. That's really just an artifact of comps versus 2023. Easter was pretty shifted last year, if I recall. And then that dip can be related to things like the Sephora sale, the Nordstrom sale that tend to move from week to week every year. So overall, this anything can happen, but the trend looks encouraging. But I wanted to deconstruct that performance into growth drivers to figure out what's really going on here. So this is year-to-date data through August. And what you can see from left to right is that while dollars on a comparative basis are only up slightly, 1.2%, the overall buyer universe is relatively flat versus 2023. So the dollar growth that we're seeing is from this 15% uptick in orders. That's transactions. When people, typically peel back spending, they generally do it on a per trip basis. So the number of trips will go up because they really haven't changed their consumption all that much. You can see that effect in dollars per order, which is down 12%, and in units per order, which is down 4%, which is the definition of a smaller basket. Pricing is also coming down a bit, with dollars down dollars per unit down 8%. That one driven probably by the popularity of lower priced options in the market, like Temu, Shein. Lately, it's TikTok Shop. And then finally, on the far right, orders per buyer is up just slightly as these extra trips I talked about come into play. So the Q4, I guess, takeaway here is that you probably are going to have more than one crack at the same consumer because of this increase in trips. So that means a focus on retargeting, segmentation, personalization of messaging, and full funnel strategies that can maximize mind share over this whole period, which is important. So next, we're going to jump into category performance, which also shares some of the hallmarks of this trade-off between essentials and discretionary spend. For the last couple of years, consumers are moving to this convenience around online grocery and takeout. So you see that growth at around 14%. Rounding out the positive growth categories are pet at 7%, food for pets, not pets for food. Appliances and beauty. Most of the remaining categories have a discretionary component, so it does make sense that performance is a little bit soft. So if you're in a growth category, lucky you. If you're not in a growth category, I'll go back to this early and often comment. Holiday basically starts October 1st now, so there could be some latent demand, I think, in these categories where if consumers have held back so far this year, they may be ready to spend. particularly if the outcome of the election is free of drama and people have a sense of confidence that everything's going to work out. So an end to the sort of vibe recession that we've read about. All right, so everything I've showed so far has been sort of independent third-party data, but I wanted to take a second to contrast that with what we see in our network. Performance marketing is unique in that it doesn't necessarily follow macro trends. It's very, very good at conversion, bottom funnel, and checkout, incentivizing everyone in the value chain, including the buyer. So we have levers that we can pull to drive demand. So for example, even though online apparel sales are down 6% year over year, in our network, they're up 4%. Beauty and luxury, I would say, have struggled a bit with falling consumer spend. But we've seen some solid traction in toys and in health and wellness, which is up 16%. Interestingly, some of that growth is out of beauty, as sort of the CPG products lean into trends around clinical or homeopathic ingredients that emphasize things like nutrition, gut health, energy, muscle development, all that kind of stuff. And then finally, consumer goods and services is a pretty broad bucket of clients, but the high growth rate here is generally from multi-category retailers or advertisers rather. And so one, I would say, artifact of a relatively down economy is that people tend to consolidate trips to one store. And so that's what we're seeing here is sort of a movement in that direction. You can see this broadly if you've listened to either Target or Walmart earnings over the last quarter. That's definitely happening in their stores as well. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Meg to talk a little bit more about the publisher network and the affiliate channel.
Great. Thanks so much, Dave. So with this next view, we'll kind of take a look at the same thing from how we're seeing performance across clicks and orders, but for different publisher business models. And it really helps us to group some of these together because we'll see, there's a huge network of so many different types of partners out there. So we tend to group a lot of our affiliates to some of these bigger categories. So in this view, we're only taking a look at 5 or so, and we'll get into a little bit more in our next coming slides. But in this view, we're looking at clicks along the top, so you can see how traffic has changed for us as a network. This is based off of Rakuten data versus orders on this lower view where you can look across and see what that change has been for some of these different business models. So a few that we do want to call out is that there have been some changes in the coupon area. So for some of those sites that you're going to looking for promotions, looking for a coupon or a deal, you can see that there has been a bit of a change in their clicks when you look from those light charted graphs with the light purple from 2021, looking to the left where it's dark purple where you can see 2024. So you can see how the more recent trends have shifted in terms of traffic that the coupon sites are bringing with their share. We've seen loyalty has stayed pretty steady. We've seen some growth from sub networks. And then we've also seen influencers had a huge increase in traffic. We just know that they are great at bringing a lot of clicks into your site. They have a ton of eyeballs, a lot of visibility, and they do such a great job with that branding and awareness, giving you those impressions and those click traffic to your site. So we've seen a lot of great growth there. And then buy now, pay later as well, which is probably a lot of those sites that you've maybe shopped from yourself. You can see how that has performed and it has a little bit of a dip in traffic if you look to this current year. And then if you look at orders, the story is actually a little bit different, which is really interesting. So it could be that it's more, quality over quantity. If we see something like coupons has maybe not seen as many clicks as in years past, we've seen that their order share has actually stayed pretty consistent. Same thing with our loyalty sites. We've actually seen some of our sub networks have dipped a little bit. But then influencers are so strong at traffic, but aren't making up as much of that share and that actual conversion. And sort of similar when you're looking at shopping or buy now, pay later. So it is helpful to keep in mind where these different publishers might fall within the journey and where some are really strong in bringing in traffic versus converting in the sale. All valuable points in the journey, but just kind of different depending on what you're looking at, what's going on in the market, what new players are in the space and whatnot. So going to this next view, going a little bit deeper, so you've seen that we've been looking at coupon sites, influencers, but really, who are some of these publishers? If affiliate marketing is brand new to you, a lot of this might just sound like words you're not familiar with. What are these sites? Have I shopped any of them? And you probably have and maybe have not even realized it before. So a lot of how we think of this is grouping them into those buckets, like I mentioned, but this really continues to evolve. There's new partners popping up all of the time, new business models. We have AI affiliates now. We have post-purchase affiliates. So it really continues to grow. These are some of the tried and true that have really forged a place in the affiliate market in the past few years, and really the past decade or so, that have really grown, and some of the ways that we see a lot of our retailers think of bucketing their affiliate publishers. So these tend to be really common. So if you're looking at this and thinking, oh, these are sites I've used before, I'm familiar with Vogue, I've read Who What Wear, I searched for a black dress if I was on ShopStyle or List, or maybe I've noticed that LTK is in the creator link that I've clicked through. I have an Amex card. You know, a lot of this might look very familiar based off of how you've just shopped as a consumer, and not realize that these are affiliate publishers that we work with within the Rakuten network, and that can do a lot to drive sales in a retailer's program. So it could be anything from, you know, an editorial site if they're more of a content and media partner, coupons and deals if they're offering a discount or a code you might want to enter at checkout. We see a lot of shopping aggregators that will pull in full product feeds and really help you choose the right product. If you're looking for a certain item, you could help search through there, and they'll kind of aggregate the full landscape of retailers with some of those shopping sites. Then we will have employee and student discounts that really incentivize that specific Gen Z market, if that's what you're interested in. And financial partners, which do a really great job helping you decide where to get the best credit card for travel or points or miles. And they'll really help dictate the shopping landscape for when you're picking out a different finance product. And buy now, pay later, we've seen a lot of these have stayed really steady with some of these big players in the space. And then we see a lot of creator and influencer networks as well. A lot of these might be familiar. A lot of them you might not even realize you've shopped through a creator who worked through these. And then our loyalty and reward sites, which obviously do a great job bringing all of that conversion and loyalty and retention to your shoppers. And how to work with these. There are different places that publishers might make sense within the journey based off of whatever your goals are. So from an awareness standpoint, if you're really focused on brand visibility, getting your name out there, making sure that everyone's really familiar with your site, these partners are great for you. They do a great job making beautiful editorial content, writing stories, really providing a lot of that insight and telling their readers all about your brands or your products. And these are also creator networks that will help with that visibility and all of those eyeballs that we've seen that influencers can bring with their high traffic rates. And then from more of a consideration standpoint, when you're really weighing which item you want to shop, maybe you're comparing different products, maybe you want to see a number of black dresses and decide which one you want to purchase. We have these shopping sites like ModeSense and List that do a great job there. And then some of our sub-networks like Skimlinks or Sovereign who have really wide reach, so they can help cast a wide net of traffic in getting you a lot of visibility to your program. And then for conversion, to really help seal that deal, it tends to be a lot of these partners that are giving some sort of an incentive to the shopper that really get them to convert, check out, pull the trigger in their basket. And that might be a partner like Klarna, which offers a lot of promotions at checkout, similar to Afterpay. We have ShopRunner as well, who will incentivize shoppers with fast shipping. Checkmate, which will offer coupons and deals and an exclusive offer, so that it just feels very incentivized for that shopper to go ahead and convert. And then our loyalty partners, which really similar to conversion, they just help give that consistency where they tend to have repeat shoppers. They're really loyal to the loyalty site that they purchase from. They want to get cash back or their reward, and they feel very incentivized to keep shopping there and grow their basket, which they'll get their cash back for. So any point you look in the journey, there really is an affiliate partner that can help meet your goals, whether it's visibility, whether it's loyalty or conversion. There's really a place for everyone, and it's important to remember that you can value different publisher types just based off seasonality, your promo calendar, whatever your focus is as a brand. There's really a place for you to have affiliates that you engage in that area. And there's no one right answer. You can really work with a number of partners, all based off of your goals. And then next we'll go into winning in Q4 and into 2025. So some things to keep in mind as you prepare for holiday, and breaking down some of the top shopping days that we saw from last year. So Dave mentioned the holiday season really starts on October 1st, and you can see that's definitely true. Even looking at Black Friday, or what we call Cyber Week, it has shifted earlier and earlier every year. You can even see the Tuesday before Thanksgiving tends to be a pretty popular day. We see a lot of advertisers will launch their promotions that day to try and get ahead of the noise. So it really does creep forward every year. It's gotten earlier. And even Thanksgiving Day, which we've all kind of known as that preview day where a lot of the deals drop, some stores even open for shopping in stores. So we know that there is this effect of starting things earlier within that week. With all that said, we still see Black Friday as our biggest shopping day. So keep that in mind as you're planning what day to drop certain promotions. That might still be your biggest day. But that whole weekend tends to be really effective. We see Cyber Saturday is important. And if you do want to focus most of your promotions in December, or maybe playing in the space during Black Friday can get really expensive if you're trying to buy any media placements or packages, December is still really strong if you start to think about Cyber Monday, going into Giving Tuesday, and some of these dates that this year will trickle into December. So keep that in mind that all hope is not lost if Black Friday wasn't necessarily a day that you were focusing on. There are some dates afterwards as well that are pretty important in the shopping space. And then overall, as you plan your year and take a look at November and December and where you want to allocate budget, especially if Cyber Week is just really noisy and has a lot going on, there are some other key dates to focus on. You can see a number of these are global, so all depending on what regions you're interested in. But ones that we do want to call out is Singles Day, which was started as a Chinese holiday and has really expanded globally. And we see a lot of brands will offer exclusive promotions on that day. A lot of affiliate publishers will do, big events where they have a lot going on their homepage and newsletters on that day as well. So that's a good one to keep in mind. And then going into December, things like free shipping day. Maybe you don't have a lot of promotions that you're able to offer due to your promo calendar or margins, but free shipping might be something that you can do. So that's a really great tool to leverage if you are interested in pushing free shipping and maybe have to be conscious of your promotional schedule and when shipping cutoffs are. That's kind of a good last day to really get a push out there for online orders for the rest of the year. And then next we'll go into some performance marketing case studies just to see some success stories of what has worked really well for brands and we recommend you could recreate. So this first one that we are looking at is for Dyson that ran an influencer marketing campaign to boost their Air Straight sales. So with this campaign, they were really focused on that brand awareness and beautiful imagery from influencers that were creating campaigns to just really help drive awareness about this product and increase traffic to Dyson.com. And through this, they were able to do an increase in engagement rate. They had over 12 million views on Instagram Reels and over 390,000 impressions across 22 content pieces. And they had a really great look and feel. It felt highly branded. It really looked in line with the Dyson vision. So we're really excited that we were able to support this with our influencer team's expertise in helping Dyson to run this campaign. And for the next one, we will look at Way Hair Care, which ran a multi-channel campaign across their different channels that they work with Rakuten advertising to really bring a lot of cross-channel messaging so that they're unified in the space and speaking about themselves as a brand across all of their different channels. And through this campaign that they ran last Q4 and on Black Friday, and to really capitalize on the holiday shopping season, they saw a 21% increase in their average view-through rate, which exceeded benchmarks by 40 to 110%, which is huge. A really significant increase in order count and 135% increase in affiliate channel sales. So there's definitely that trickle-down effect to the multi-channel approach where you can see certain verticals that they might be running in certain channels will see that effect overall when the holistic approach that they have is all aligned, which is great to see. This next one is for Ancestry.com, which was an affiliate channel package that they ran to try and really drive their DNA kits to have increased awareness in their direct-to-consumer sales. So what they wanted to do was encourage more DNA kits to sell directly to shoppers versus buying it through maybe a third party or going through a different avenue. So they really had to focus their affiliate channel and their branding and awareness. And through this and working in their affiliate channel with Rakuten to do this, they had a 102% increase in their affiliate sales target, an increase by 298% in their memberships, and a 657% increase in ROAS, which is amazing. And through this, their DNA kits were up over 100% in memberships overall. So that was pretty incredible to see.
Yeah, Meg, real quickly, just to touch on that NSOS
Yeah.
project as well. That one was fun because some of these verticals and products you can imagine are sort of struggle to get new buyers. So this was one case where we could bring consumer insights to bear and really talk about the size of the opportunity because the nature of if you think about a DNA kit, you're kind of one and done unless they offer other products. And so it was really, really important to look back at historical data from third parties and come up with a strategy to size the market, figure out when people buy these kits and how to find new buyers. So that was fun to do.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, great. And last but not least here, we have a case study that we did with Capital One Shopping using our tool called Audience Engine. And we're really excited to talk about this as a dynamic commissioning tool that we use based off of publisher first-party data. So we're actually able to build commission offers based off of data that the partner can report to us so that we can bifurcate the commission rate based off of audiences that the publisher can target. So brands are really excited about this. And for this specific campaign, we had a goal to increase annual sales and new customer acquisition. And through this campaign, using Audience Engine with Capital One Shopping, the retailer that we worked on this with saw a 68% of annual sales growth and a 70% new customer acquisition rate. So it was really strong for us to be able to target different audience groups, pay them differently, have that all happen in real time so that everyone can see the performance and pacing throughout the 3-month campaign. And we know that the brand and this partner were really excited about the results and seeing that increase in new customer acquisition was just really huge, and being able to target in the affiliate space really helped everyone meet their goals and was pretty important and powerful for us to see those results. So it's been very exciting to have this tool out there, and we're very eager to have more partners who work with us on this too. So this was a really great example of the success we've seen from there. And last but not least, I will pass it back to Dave to talk through the next era of e-commerce.
Excellent. I love all those case studies. And, as an insights sort of person, it's been interesting to jump across these different verticals and help clients understand for what consumers are doing and how they're spending money in the marketplace. So those are great.
Yeah.
Key takeaways. So number one here, so there's vast differences in expectations, at least from various analysts. I've seen forecasts as low as sort of 2% growth to 20% growth. You saw the eMarketer data at around 9.5. That's as good a guess as any. But there's just a lot of uncertainties with all the externalities. So the election, interest rates, what happened with the labor market, the vibe. So we just have to be ready for changes throughout Q4 and be prepared to address those. Secondly, affiliate is just a very well positioned channel for these customers when they're in a value-oriented mindset. This is important in the economic circumstances we're in around soft discretionary spend. It's just a good place to be. Thirdly, oh my gosh, we've squeezed this lemon. But please, I say this every year, holiday shopping starts earlier and earlier. I feel like some of that is due to like post-traumatic stress disorder from trying to order presents during COVID and the inventory issues. And I think the pandemic at least taught customers a pretty tough lesson about supply and demand. So to some degree, I think they've overcorrected in a way to buy for holiday earlier and earlier every year. Fourth point is really about full funnel augmentation of the affiliate program. Affiliate works best when it's got the help of its more developed and older siblings, media and search. You saw Meg point out, there are full funnel publishers in the network, but it's like the old saying, affiliate can encourage the horse to drink, but the media support is what leads her to water. So that's important to point out. And then finally, my favorite part, I look forward with some predictions. The creator and influencer economy, I would say, is reaching scale. This has been due to help of various aggregation partners, and then we're starting to get some proof of efficacy of those ads in Medium. I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but there really is a lot of momentum around off-price, consumer trade downs, and private label that I think is going to be huge in 2025. It's going to be very, very competitive. We're seeing just a ton of that kind of behavior across all verticals. So look out for that. And then lastly, generative and predictive AI, it's becoming a huge part of our industry. It's already a huge part of our company. I use it literally every day to help understand and connect data from various sources, and it's driving efficiencies across, our entire business, and that leads directly to value for our clients. So encourage everyone to jump in head first with that one. So Marissa, that's a wrap on the content. Please tell me we have amazing questions waiting from our viewers.
All right, Dave, the answer is yes. We do have amazing questions, but I first want to thank both of you, Dave, Meg. That was awesome. And I had to laugh a little bit at the end during your key takeaways when you talked about the holidays starting earlier, as that's something that the three of us were talking about right before we all went live today, thinking, does this start now after July 4th? Like, how early can it be? But that was really great content. Dave, you shared such a valuable overview at the top on the upcoming season, the growth drivers, and also the specific categories. And Meg, I think one thing that really stuck out to me for your portion was the slide that you shared on how many key shopping dates there are in November and December. It's like when you see it laid out, you don't really think that it's that many, but it really is. And really, again, as you shared, what those opportunities are for marketers to capitalize on such high engagement from consumers during this month. So thank you for sharing that with us, and awesome case studies as well. So Dave, I know you asked about questions. Meg, I know you're excited too. Let's get right to that. First question, what is the benefit of affiliate marketing versus other digital marketing channels? Meg, do you want to take that?
Sure. Yeah, and that's a really great question. I think the biggest thing that sticks out in our minds is that it is really cost effective. When you're playing in the affiliate space, you're really only paying for performance. The way our commission rates are typically set up could be based off of a click-through rate or a CPC or a cost per action like a CPA rate, where you're only paying out those commissions based off of a sale or an event happening. And that really helps you not have any of that wasted media spend. Every dollar that you're spending in this space is really going towards a sale happening, which makes it a very efficient channel. So kind of first and foremost, when we think about the benefit of affiliate versus other channels, that's a big difference. It's very different than just paying for an ad and hoping someone sees it. In this case, you're really paying to make sure that that sale happens. So it ends up being a really efficient way to allocate your media budget in a very strong performance-based channel for a lot of our advertisers.
All right, well, thank you for sharing those differences.
Yeah.
Dave, I'm going to pass this next one to you. One of our viewers is a retailer who cares about scalability as a key metric. What would you recommend for ways to scale a program through affiliate marketing?
Yeah, I think, well, number one, diversify the types of affiliates. So you saw Meg kind of go into, a lot of people think about affiliate as sort of what it was, 10 or 15 years ago, but now there are multiple channels. So you've got influencer community, you've got coupon sites, you've got cashback, you've got media and content sites. So that's a pretty broad range of environments where your ads can run. Second thing I would say, what I love about affiliate that's fascinating for me as a researcher is you can vary your commission rates during peak periods or non-peak periods. You can also vary them based on what types of buyers you may want to attract. So I've seen loads of really interesting data around us trying various experiments with different types of offers, and that's one way for sure that scale can be achieved. And then I guess thirdly, selfishly, come to someone like me with sort of tracking and analytics at your organization to help understand performance and optimize where things are working, where you may be able to go into product or category adjacencies to find additional buyers. The buyer wallet is very, very broad, and we can find these people all over the place, not necessarily in the most obvious channels. So that's three things I'd point to.
Okay, thank you. Well, our next scenario is when you have to sell an idea into the boss. So Meg, I'd love your take on this one. Our viewer is new to affiliate marketing. Their boss is very hesitant. How can our viewers show that affiliate marketing is not what it used to be?
Yeah, and it really has evolved so much over time. I think often we think of it as just that bottom of the funnel, just quick at conversion, just adding that coupon code, maybe just getting the toolbar to get your cash back, and they're not really there to engage with your brand. And there's definitely a place for having some of those conversion publishers as well in your program, but it has changed so much where we see so much more that is top of funnel and brand awareness. So it really isn't just about closing the conversion even, it is getting your brand in front of consumers. And that can be from sub-networks, creator networks, or influencers that you're working with that are really helping to tell a story about your product, sharing your brand, their experience, and direct relationship with it. Or it could be a content site that you work with, like Condé Nast Traveler or Vogue that we saw, that is also able to really build that editorial look and feel and tell that story to their viewer base as well. So it really goes beyond just how many of us have thought about affiliate years ago. It's just, a lot of coupon sites, a lot of loyalty, which definitely has a place as well. But there's also a lot that you can be doing that's more top of funnel from branding and awareness. And it has evolved so much. So there's really a lot of different ways that you can be involved in this space and focus differently based off of, your promo calendar or your goals for your brand as well.
All right, thank you. Well, kind of playing off of that and selling ideas internally, AI is coming up a lot. So what are your thoughts on how can Gen AI be used for personalization and other applications across Q4 campaigns?
Yeah, so we've actually seen there's a number of publishers that have come into this space that use AI in the way that they're working in affiliate. So it could be something like shopping through a streaming service and seeing an outfit that you like and having ways that that could automatically populate other recommendations through an app experience. So we're seeing a lot more innovation in that sense that help bridge that gap between a more seamless shopping experience where you almost have this like shopping assistant that knows exactly what you're looking for because maybe you've added a picture or you're watching a certain show. So it's become a lot smarter in personalizing those offers in the space. And it's really exciting to see that we actually have publishers that are able to do that and have the technology to really bridge what we're all hearing about and using, maybe Chat GPT or some form of AI, but actually seeing how that works in affiliate as well.
Okay, it's always nice to get that personalized offer, isn't it?
Yeah.
What about influencer marketing? How does that play into affiliate marketing?
Yeah, it really works so well hand in hand, and it is a great complement to your affiliate program. We actually have a dedicated influencer team at Rakuten Advertising that really focuses on our influencer publisher partnerships, because really that's what an influencer is they are affiliates that we work with, whether it's directly in our network or they work through a network or an influencer management platform. Those are all affiliate opportunities for us to capitalize on. So we really aim to bridge that gap and have that be part of their affiliate program for brands. So it's not just, let me work with these coupon sites and all of these promotions, but let me also activate these influencers in this space as well. And we have the team in place to really source those opportunities, really teach them a lot about everything from our platform to creating links to working with brands and what they're prioritizing and thinking about seasonality so that we're very top of mind for them in working with them in affiliate, working with them with brands, really helping to educate them in this space and help them grow as influencers as well. In addition to bringing those partners back to our brands that they are aware of those influencers, what their reach is, what their social engagement is, what kind of opportunities they might specialize in to meet your goals if you're focused on, men's campaign or a beauty campaign, who are the right creators for you. So there's definitely a place for it in your program that brings such great awareness to your brand. And we really strive to bridge that gap, make it a very smooth experience for you to source those creators and for us to also help them get that visibility as well. So we have that team that really focuses on that because we know it's important for brands. They want to see part of that as part of their affiliate programs, part of their spend, all of their performance in one place, not spreading out influencers over here, but the rest of my affiliates are here. It's really about bringing it more holistically into their programs. So that's really how we're focusing and seeing how them work really closely together.
Okay, thank you. I have a question in regards to the case studies that you shared with us, really clarifying certain benchmarks. So for the case studies that you shared with us today, are there category benchmarks that were used to gauge performance?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'll have to check some of the specific ones. I think we looked overall at their campaign performance for their affiliate programs. And we can take a look at how that does compare to similar benchmarks in the different verticals as well. We often do compare a lot of our advertiser performance against like advertisers just to give us that kind of sense of, is this typical for what we're seeing? Is this what all department stores or beauty retailers are seeing? It really does help us make sense of it. I'm not sure that we have those on those specific slides, but that's definitely how we think of it as a network. And in working with us, we do provide a lot of benchmark data so that as an advertiser, you always have that pulse of how am I doing compared to everyone else? Is this how everyone else is seeing performance? Is this exceptional? Where are we behind? And it really helps you decide what partners to work with for some of these strategies that we saw in the case study. So that's definitely something that we can look at as well, and that you can benchmark against similar verticals, because it really does help make sense of that performance.
Great.
Yeah, and
Thank you for
I'll just add
clarifying.
on to that a little bit that benchmarks is near and dear to my heart. So I mentioned that we also, we kind of try to triangulate client performance. So it's one thing to see how, beauty is doing in our network, but we have a certain set of advertisers that are beauty advertisers. And this is why, frankly, my position exists and why we license third-party data is to understand what's going on in the rest of the marketplace. So how is beauty doing overall, and what brands are sort of rising to the top, so we can really get, like for like comparisons to figure out how our network is performing and whether that benchmark is representative of consumers overall or whether it's something particular to our network. So we do quite a bit of work around all that kind of stuff.
All right, thank you both. We are just going to take a few more questions on the upcoming holiday season before we close today. I think you both will actually have an interesting take on this one. How do I make the most of affiliate marketing for the holidays this year?
Yeah, I guess I'll go first. This is definitely what Dave was mentioning as well. Plan early, plan now, get ahead of it. We do see for affiliates this calendar of their promotions and events, and maybe it's their media placements that they have. It definitely does sell out and book up fast. So if you are looking to engage with a lot of affiliate publishers for Q4, I'd have those conversations now and try to plan out what your calendar is. When do you have a release happening? When does your Black Friday promotion start? Even down to, okay, it's 8 a.m. the Tuesday before Black Friday. Really have all of that information available and start talking to your publishers about what they recommend for your brand. They might have a vertical specific event running. They might take a look at your budget and say, okay, these are the best days for us to really capitalize on what you have to spend and really work with you on that. So I would start those conversations as early as possible and really try to get in there with your plan. And then you could always supplement and add things and exposure along the way, but kind of get your core offering ready to go as early in advance as possible.
I think I would add, this is off the cuff, but I feel like going back to your core customer and value proposition and really trying to understand who that buyer is for that product. Why do you want them to buy that product? And then focus on how do I sort of maximize, returns on that, on ad spend, I guess, for that particular kind of person. Because what I find, what I do a lot for clients is showing the value of those consumers that you win in holiday for the next whole year or 2 years or 3 years, right? It's not just about moving the unit during the holiday cycle. It's about making that process seamless so that you get a new fan of your brand and they come back over and over again. It's more about a holistic view of who your buyer is and how you want to get them in the door than really, let's make sure that we, push this product and try to maximize sales. So that's obviously important. But I think those customers that you get in Q4 are your baseline customers for the whole next couple of years. So I'd focus on a customer, learn as much as you can about them through either first party or third party research, look at all those adjacencies, look at what segments they fall into, interest graphs, all that kind of stuff is hugely important.
Okay, well, it's interesting because you mentioned that would be your customer for the next few years. I think at the top, if I remember correctly, you shared some data on the overall pool of holiday shoppers more or less remaining flat this year. So I'm going to sneak in one more question for you. How can someone use affiliate marketing to tap into new demographics and audiences?
I can jump in with that one. A great tool might be what we've mentioned in that earlier slide with Capital One Shopping, which is our audience engine technology, where you can actually set up your commission rates to be different based off of customer status. So if you're looking specifically for new customers or to engage those lapsed customers that maybe you just haven't seen in a year and do want to re-engage, and that gives you that incremental sales that you're looking for this year, that's a great way to do it because it will get eyeballs specifically in front of your new shoppers, and it will help you work with publishers who are able to really target their placements for those new audiences as well, so that you're really getting that incremental sales into your program and new shoppers and new visibility.
Yeah, I do a lot of work with demographics and audience segmentation. So I do think that to go back to sort of this understanding of your customer, auto parts comes to mind. I remember doing a project a few months ago where the auto parts buyer is a relatively small and very specific audience, but they're very unique depending on what types of things they buy in the auto category. And so I'll make a plug for using AI tools. I plug a lot of data into AI and I have it help me understand the full buyer graph for any brand buyer, any retail buyer, and tell me sort of things about their lifestyle, values. You could do a lot more with a good set of sort of psychographic profile data out in the network, because it doesn't necessarily, you might not find an auto buyer on auto enthusiast sites. Guess what? They're also shopping for other stuff. So that understanding of that full wallet and where else they're shopping, I think to me, that's one of the more interesting things going on right now with regard to advertising, audience development and AI.
All right. Well, Dave and Meg, thank you again for all of this great content. I think we're all excited about the holidays right now, and of course, affiliate marketing. And thanks for answering all those questions. We so appreciate you both being here today.
You bet. Thank you, Marissa.
So before we wrap up, I'm just going to take a moment to tell you about eMarketer's media channels. You can register for live analyst and Tech Talk webinars on our events page at emarketer.com/events. Don't forget to tune into Behind the Numbers, which is eMarketer's daily podcast. And finally, please subscribe to our newsletters. Thank you all for joining us today. And thanks again to Dave, Meg, the team at Rakuten Advertising, and our eMarketer studio team behind the scenes for making this webinar possible. We'll see you all on the next Tech Talk.